this big notebook. I was carrying it
Yes.
with me everywhere.
Yeah. Okay.
You know?
Wow.
Even sometimes I took it with me to morning walks.
So every single picture is in there.
Yeah, 6 of them, not just one book, of course.
I was going to say, because I'd have to have at least 365 pages.
Yeah.
Welcome, I'm Stephen Marriott, traveller and author, and Marriott Side Trips is the travel podcast sharing the real-life stories of the people I meet along the way. But with travel being a bit tricky of late, I've been forced to get to know my backyard, London, a little bit better. Which of course is an excellent thing, especially with being away a lot in the past. So for my lockdown podcast, I've been meeting those local London traders and artists who've been keeping the city ticking over during these strange times. Today I'm chatting to Esra Kizir Gokcen, a London-based artist. The lockdown has affected creatives in different ways. Some have thrived, whilst others have found their inspiration curtailed. As an author, I know I've struggled to write. For Esra, she feels she has no choice but to produce art. It's in her soul. Nonetheless, she had to find a way to adapt to creating art at home and the anxieties brought on by the virus. Her answer was to produce a drawing for 365 days consecutively, and we talked about how that process evolved over the course of a year. Of course though, we chatted about other things too, including the challenges of relocating to London from Turkey with 2 kids, respecting your purpose, to having the confidence to express your feelings in your art. We met at Esra Studios in Waterloo and we had a blast.
Hello, Esra.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks, and I'm very excited to be in your studio here in Waterloo, southeast London. Your artist studio, surrounded by your art. We're in Waterloo, so we're close to the train station. In actual fact, it's Make Space Studios is the name of the studios, I believe.
Yes.
And so, but they're old porter cabins, and I think they must have been, correct me if I'm wrong, old porter cabins from the train station that at some point the railway workers must have used,
Yes.
but they never went. They're obviously temporary, but stayed here, and now obviously occupied by Make Space and artists like yourself. So we might hear the odd train in the background occasionally, I guess.
Yeah, exactly, as you said. Old railway station workers' cabinets, and we are using it now. And when I first came to London, I used to see these crazy boxes while I was coming to Waterloo.
Okay,
from
as you
the
got
train.
the train as it came into the station.
Yeah, and I was quite curious about it, and by chance I'm here.
There we go, hey?
Yeah.
You were looking through the train window at the studios, and maybe they were looking. The artists, some of the artists were looking out of the window at you and beckoning you in to join their artist group.
Indeed. In fact, in the beginning, it was a bit scary with all the graffitis and everything. I was like, this is kind of interesting. Here you go.
Yeah. Well, I like it. It's very comfortable and it's warm actually.
It is.
Even though it's meant to be spring outside, it's a blustery, wintry feeling day, but it's cozy and warm, and you've got a sink to make coffees and teas, and you've got shelving and obviously art all over the place actually.
Yeah.
Including the walls.
Indeed. I am one of the lucky tenants here to have a sink.
Okay.
Generally we use kitchen common areas for that. But yeah.
Oh, well, I'm benefiting because you've made me a nice coffee, so thank you.
I'm glad you enjoy.
I wanted to just quickly say a bit more about you. And I've been having problems pronouncing your surname, so apologies in advance if I get it wrong again. So you're Esra Kizir Gokcen. Gokcen,
yes.
Okay. You're an artist, obviously, a mother, and I'm doing a little bit of background research on you, and I guess I think it's fair to say you're so much more as well, but we'll maybe learn a bit more about that as we talk. You're originally from Istanbul in Turkey. Is that a kind of fair summary of who you are?
Well, yeah, very brief.
Brief, yes.
Yeah, I'm from Istanbul, and I became a Londoner like 5 years ago.
Okay.
I guess it's still work in progress.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know when you technically become a Londoner. I've been here, since end of 1999. So
wow.
More than 20 years. But does that qualify me as a Londoner? I don't know.
Well,
who knows?
My luck and like misfortune as well is the lockdown. It just didn't let us go out and just see more places,
Yes.
get involved with more people.
Yes.
But we did whatever we can.
So
thanks to social media.
So a fifth of your time you've been an isolated Londoner, but we've all been isolated Londoners, and as you say, we're finding other ways as humans to communicate through social media. In actual fact, that's quite a nice link, mentioning social media and Instagram, because I wanted to talk briefly about your 365-day challenge of producing pieces of drawing, obviously every day for 365 days, which I know you completed, I think, just over a week or so ago. So how are you feeling? You must be feeling exhausted after producing a piece of art consecutively for 365 days. And then I know, well, you say it's not a secret, and our mutual friend Renee mentioned to me that you turned 50 on the final day.
Yes, that was the intention.
Okay.
I realized I should do something to celebrate my 50th birthday.
Yes.
Remarkable. Which will just which will be remembered more than I'm getting old.
Okay.
So I found out that I can draw daily, which I was doing, but not like strictly regularly.
And a completed piece every day.
Yeah. Sometimes I used to take notes visually.
Okay.
And leave it like that, but not finish.
Mm-hmm.
But this challenge taught me to start and finish a drawing without any plan every day.
Interesting.
The inspiration was another artist who I listened to from a webinar series.
Okay.
Sorry,
That's okay.
couldn't remember the word.
I only wanted to briefly touch on this, because just to sort of mention what you've been doing most recently, but I think there's a lot of interesting things to delve into there. So I want to come back to that. I guess in a snapshot, you were inspired. You just inspired because of your birthday and a kind of a milestone, and by another artist. Yeah. A webinar. Mm-hmm. And lockdown experience, perhaps, then as well.
Indeed. Yeah. All the exhibitions has been cancelled, and all museums, galleries. I wasn't able to come to my studio, so I had to find a way to fulfill my creative intuitions. Otherwise, I would fall sick. Probably.
Interesting. So that was the inspiration.
That was the inspiration
behind that.
In the beginning of lockdown, I started drawing, painting at home, but home is already a small place. Living with two children and our cat. Of course, the space became smaller and smaller while I tried to paint in the house.
And your art pieces, just looking around here, of the ones on canvas, obviously, are big.
Yeah, not too big, but big enough. Big enough to make the space feel claustrophobic. Yeah. So I tried to find a way to be more sustainable about my practice, and in the meantime I was studying on Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way.
Okay, right, yes.
It's a book. It's a study book. It leads you to discover yourself and learn about your blocks, which keeps you away from achieving your best.
Okay.
You don't have to be an artist. The book is The Artist's Way.
I have heard of it, but I've been meaning to give it a go at some point.
Yeah, it is for everyone, because it is a kind of full of tools to get to know yourself and somehow do a kind of practice as self-therapy for yourself.
Okay.
If you can achieve those things, if you can fulfill the tasks, then you feel much freer when you're creating something.
Interesting. You touched on, obviously, the fact that during the sort of the lockdown periods, everything's closed, including galleries. However, we did manage, when we first met, at your exhibition,
yes,
that Rene hosted, the Artist Pool organisation.
Mm-hmm.
I remember two things about that particular exhibition. One was the fact that when in the summer things relaxed again, and a phase which we're going into now, which hopefully this will actually last.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. But there was still a lot of uncertainty there, but you were allowed to open again and exhibitions could happen. And Rene, being Rene, was determined to sort of weave her way around the restrictions and make it safe and have that exhibition in Shepherd's Market. And so that's my first memory, Rene making that exhibition happen against all the challenges.
Yeah.
And so I went there with my partner Emma. And the second thing I remember is you. Obviously, it was massively busy with people because obvious reasons, and the fact that in that part of London, Mayfair, there are no tourists or business people, but it was ticking over. But it meant that I think maybe it gave you a bit of extra time to walk me through what you had, your art, and explain it to me. So that's the second thing I particularly remember. But when we met, and I think I was particularly drawn to your art because I like travel and movement, and it somehow resonated with me, and I didn't quite know why to begin with. It was only when you started to talk through it with me, and the kind of like, I guess, people like ants moving, and it reminded me of London. I guess my question is that piece of art, and maybe elaborate on it because I haven't done a great job of explaining it, is that how you felt about London and migration or London in general? Maybe just tell me a bit more.
Yeah, exactly. After relocating, of course, everything changed. My life changed, so my art changed. I started getting inspiration from the challenge I took, like moving, changing the life.
Yes.
And adapting to a new life was a big inspiration as well. And of course, London is a kind of mixture of the whole world. We live together in one city, like people from all around the world.
Absolutely, yes.
And it is so mind-opening, so inspiring. It was a big thing for me.
And I guess, as I say, being here myself for 20 odd years now, probably forget and take it for granted sometimes. But that's the great thing about doing the podcast and interviewing people like yourself, Londoners, for these first episodes. It reminds me that, of course, there's people originally from London. I interviewed a taxi driver who is from southeast London, but majority of people who've been coming across my limited path during this lockdown are not originally from London.
Yeah.
But you kind of forget sometimes.
Yeah, this is a kind of hub. It is a hub which calls various people to come together and find a way to live together. This is the most inspiring, most important thing for me.
Okay.
Everybody from very different backgrounds living together, and we have somehow a sort of harmony living together. We live peacefully. Yes, it is a big megapole. It's a very harsh city to live. It's very competitive. Yes, we all know these parts, of course. But somehow we have a harmonious way living together. Don't you think so?
We manage, don't we? We manage. And I think that, we're tolerant. We're very tolerant.
We are tolerant because whenever we feel agitated about something, we just come to realize, okay, just step back, because maybe my attitude is agitating somebody else as well.
Yeah, that's a nice way to look at it, I think. Absolutely. But also that there was the sort of the movement of people sort of representative of all the sort of ant-like nature. It might look confusing to look at, but there's structure and purpose. Purposeful movement, maybe. But also, was that a migration thing in the sense that you were thinking of? Because obviously a lot of Londoners have migrated here, and I wondered if there was a connection back to Turkey somehow in the art, or was it just pure London?
It is related with migration as well, but the artwork we're talking about, I wasn't aware of that at that time.
Oh, you mean it just came out?
Just came out like that. I started drawing that tiny people on my paintings with the inspiration of London, with the fast pace of living here, when you look around on the streets, the stations and everywhere, you cannot see people just walking without a purpose, slowly. Everybody's rushing somewhere.
Yes.
That painting was particularly about that, the rush, and its name is Against Time.
Against Time, I like
Against Time, and it's been sold after that exhibition.
Okay, wow,
Yeah.
yes, well it was striking piece.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. And yeah, after inspirations from London, I settled on a series called Sail to Hope. It was
Oh yes, I saw on your website. Yeah,
totally about migration. I just met a couple of people who were real refugees.
Okay.
Not like people who just decided to
Had
relocate.
Had a choice.
Yeah, like myself. Experiencing the relocations challenge myself, I felt so deeply, how can I say, empathy towards refugees. And then I started researching about the refugee crisis, and I figured out it is the biggest refugee crisis in the world history after World War II. Now, people are relocating, and it's going on, and this movement is going on, and this cultural exchange is going on, and we are becoming a huge village globally.
It's kind of interesting also that you're saying that the earlier pieces and the one I was referring to at that exhibition in Shepherd's Market, it was only subsequently that you realised that there was a sort of, or you became more interested in the sort of migrationary aspects of things.
It came gradually.
Yeah, interesting.
And afterwards, after the lockdown, I found my way on drawing instead of painting, because I was at home.
Right.
Mainly.
Yes, you didn't have the space and things.
With the idea of age 50 should mean something, not just for me, for as many people as I can reach out, I thought about creating a project. And I drew daily and wrote about my inspirations, or what I thought, what I felt, or what technique I used. And used some hashtags to reach out to more people. And invited everyone to join me to draw.
Okay.
I created some online art tutorials, drawing tutorials.
Oh, did you?
I had some members. I used to send the videos to them.
Okay.
It didn't go as productive as I expected. My members were not enough to keep on going.
Yes.
So I did it just 15 weeks. But I finished, is it 52 or 54 weeks a year?
52.
Yeah, 52 weeks.
It's different in Turkey, is it?
No. That's my...
Numbers aren't your thing, even though you've just done 365 days. Yes, you're an artist after all.
I just finished it, and now I try to get ready for the exhibition of it. It will be exhibited in the Shepherd's Market at the same gallery space.
What is that called? 54? Shepherd's Market?
No, 54 the gallery.
The gallery in Shepherd's Market.
In Shepherd's Market,
in Mayfair,
Mayfair. And it will be in July.
So if I go, then I would have come full circle in terms of meeting you a year later, around a year later.
Yeah.
Oh, I look forward to
it will be from 20th to 25th July this summer. And I'm trying to prepare a book with the drawings and the meanings. And I'm trying to get the video of all the journey and with the works of the people who joined me using my hashtags. And I'm trying to choose some of them to make fine art prints. It will be limited edition fine art prints
Okay.
on the walls and on sale as well.
So you've been pretty busy during these various lockdown
Yeah.
periods. And one of the questions, I mean, I've had a look through, not all of them, but several of them, because there's 365 of them on Instagram this morning, actually. And what struck me was clearly your style changed, I think, a bit from the beginning, and it evolved. And then it seems like you started to sort of share what you were thinking, or what you were listening to at the time, or how you felt. But for a year, given we were restricted and moving around, how did you get other inspiration? Was it just from walking the park, or here in Waterloo? I mean, I know you said you haven't been able to come to Waterloo very much, but you know, the immediate surroundings. What gave you ideas?
Well, in the beginning, I tried to encourage people for drawing. That's why it was more like drawing lessons. Drawings.
Yes.
You know,
it was kind of like still life, so the very
observational,
still life, I noticed.
And then, of course, that's not my style.
No.
That's why I was a little bit bored of that.
Yeah.
And I started just digging into my library, using some of my books, engraving books, antique engravings, some books related with mythology and ancient knowledge.
Okay.
And then I used some artist books, Gustav Klimt, Marc Chagall. I just did some drawings, just recalling them as well. And then that finished as well. Walks, trees around.
Yeah,
of
trees
course,
come through. I noticed a few tree-related
because
ones.
it is a very meditative thing for me. I just go out to nature in the parks and walk and just lose myself there with that feeling. When I drew, of course, it was mostly about the trees.
What part of London do you live?
I live in Isleworth.
So have you got some? I don't know that part of the world. There's some nice parks down that way.
Yeah, I'm very close to Osterley Park.
Okay, yeah, that's a big park, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a big park full of very old trees, and there is Osterley House. It's a National Trust property. And
that's not too bad a lockdown then.
yeah, not too bad. But of course, it took a while to find out my way out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because I could see the things, you know, which we've all we've been commonality of things in many ways, but also how you react to it. Because one of the ones when I was flicking through them, I seemed to be drawn to one which was like a tornado, and sort of you were feeling low or down, and then I read further down, and it was I think the day or the day after you had your vaccination. So that was sort of your reaction to being vaccinated, which is kind of interesting. So everything was finding its way every day somehow into your
indeed.
into
It
that
is
project.
a kind of visual diary, actually.
Okay.
What happened, I became more confident to share my visual diary with people instead of hiding behind some artificial inspirations.
Yes. So what was inside was coming out now.
Yeah, because I was, of course, like many of us, I was suffering with anxiety. That's why I tried to meditate and tried to learn about mindfulness.
Yes.
And I started listening to mindfulness podcasts and retreats and that kind of teachings.
Did you have a favourite mindfulness teacher or yoga or meditation person? Because I've been sort of delving into that as well a bit.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Eckhart Tolle.
Okay, yes, yeah.
And Jack Cornfield.
Yeah, I didn't know about Jack Cornfield, but I came across him on an app, and I was like, he seems quite reassuring. I find him. Yeah.
Jack Cornfield is, how can I say? Eckhart Tolle is the professor of this thing.
Yes.
But Jack Cornfield is a person who can speak about this to anyone.
Okay, on an everyman basis.
Yes.
Okay, every person basis.
Yeah,
Okay.
I understanding and being able to relate to what he says is much easier.
To translate sort of mindfulness practice and meditation. I guess.
The theory of mindfulness, I learned from Eckhart Tolle, and he's a master of it.
Well, he's kind of, in terms of modern life, I guess, the granddaddy of that. And
indeed.
I've read one of his books, and I think I reread it because it takes a bit of time to absorb it. So I think I did end up rereading that. But,
I listened to Ram Dass.
Okay.
Amazing. And the books were just gathered together from his teachings, his own voice. Okay. I listened to audiobooks rather than reading.
So when you're listening to the audiobooks, would you be sketching and illustrating at the same time?
Yes.
Interesting.
That's why everything became more and more spiritual gradually.
Okay. Yeah.
And these people taught me a lot. I'm so thankful to them. Now, of course, problems are there. The pandemic is still there. Yes, we had the vaccination, thankfully. We overcame many difficulties, but
I think mental challenge is the biggest challenge.
Yes, mental challenge is still there.
Yeah, I think, and that will take a long time to go. And I mean, everybody's been affected in different ways.
Yes.
For me personally, I was never actually frightened of the virus and on my health per se. And I think maybe that's because we think Emma and myself got it very early. Emma had it much worse than me, but she recovered, and that was a year, over a year ago in March, and I lost my sense of taste and smell. So I think personally we kind of thought, okay, what are our immune systems are good, and if you're young and fit, I think we never worried about it. But at the same time, I knew straight away I'd be worried about my mental health, and because what it meant, the change for us all, and not being able to see people in the same way.
Yeah.
And that for me was always been something, and I think it's still there to an extent.
It is still there.
I think a lot of people now, because of vaccines, getting used to it.
Yeah.
Are less frightened of the direct health dangers, but the other longer term things, which aren't so straightforward.
Indeed. Well, many things happened. For example, I couldn't go and see my family for a long time.
In Turkey, of course.
In Turkey. In the meantime, I lost my brother and couldn't even attend the funeral.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And of course, all these things leave a mark on you.
Yes. Yeah.
So now, of course, that's going on. But I have some tools to deal with it.
Interesting. Okay. So I want to take a quick step back, because we can't talk to you about your background a bit and Turkey. And as you know, I love travel, and I have only ever scratched the surface with Turkey. I've never been to Istanbul. I've never been to the bazaars, and I want to go. But I guess something I'm learning just talking to you now is that your journey clearly influences your art, I think.
Of
think
course.
I'm right of saying.
Of course.
Yeah, and I think, most artists, whether you're a writer, sculptor, painter, whatever artist, there's always something of you in your art. But how is your art in Turkey? How is it different in Turkey to now? And I know you were a graphic designer, weren't you, as well?
Yeah.
So that's a different form again.
Yeah, I studied graphic design and practiced for a couple of years. Then everything changed very quickly. Everything became very digitalized. When I graduated, we were doing everything by hand. It was more satisfying.
Yes.
So I wasn't very happy.
And then Apple came along.
Yeah, Apple came along, and everything changed.
Yes.
So I wasn't very happy. Then I quit my job.
Okay.
Studied 1 year more to teach art. I was certified to be an art teacher. Then I realized I'm expecting a baby.
The more change.
Yeah. So, then I didn't work in a school environment, but after having 2 children and settling my family life a bit, I opened my studio and started tutoring, doing workshops. Okay. And I used to work with an event agency organizing art events for corporates.
In Istanbul?
In Istanbul.
Okay.
and I used to work with children, adults, young people who were training to get into arts education in higher education.
Okay.
It took me like 12 years like that. And then many things changed in my life, and I had to start over again. And I decided to move to UK, and I tried to build up the similar environment for myself with more possibilities, more competition, but it gave me a bigger, wider perspective and more opportunities, as well as more opportunities to my children to achieve their own creative callings.
Yeah.
My son is studying music.
Okay, wow.
He's a guitarist. He has a band. They are releasing songs on Spotify.
On YouTube and Spotify and everywhere, I guess.
Yeah. And my daughter is finishing A-levels this year, and she wants to study film. She thinks of becoming a production designer.
Oh, really? Wow.
So if we were not here, these things wouldn't be able to happen.
I mean, art obviously runs in the blood of your family. And yeah, that's interesting, I guess. You know, relocating is difficult enough within your own country. Relocating to a different country with a different culture is pretty difficult.
It is.
Relocating with what would have been there, I guess, you know, what we're talking, 13, 14 years old for your kids then, if you've been here 5 years. Relocating as a mum with 2 kids in London.
It was.
You're pretty crazy, aren't you, really?
I am.
Was it a culture shock? Coming here?
It was a culture shock, yeah.
Right.
It was a culture shock. But looking back, I don't feel any regret. If it was today, with this much of awareness, what will happen, I would do the same thing with more precaution.
Okay.
I would do some things slightly different, but I would take the same steps.
Interesting. What motivates you then? Because, I mean, you obviously were determined to continue being an artist when you came here.
Yeah.
It might have been easier for you just to say, go down the traditional 9-to-5 office job, traditional route with relocating your kids here and things.
Yeah.
But art has always been a big priority, clearly, for you.
Of course.
Yeah.
It is the big drive for me. I tried to do other things earlier in my life, and it didn't help, because the creativity is a big instinct. If I suppress it, I become sick. I had it in the past.
Really? You got ill from trying to suppress it from outside pressures or pressure on yourself?
Well,
because you didn't believe in yourself, or
it was the perceptions.
Okay.
The perceptions of the society. What should a married woman with 2 children do? So, being the good girl, I will do whatever I have to perfectly. Okay. That kind of mindset.
I see. I understand,
then I became realistic.
Playing a role.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I wasn't aware that I was playing a role.
Okay.
Then I had thyroid cancer. Yeah, thyroid cancer is, of course, when you hear cancer, you think it's the end of the world. Yes, I thought it was the end of the world. But along the way, we learned that it is the most curable version of the cancer family.
If you put it that way, yes.
So luckily, I got over it.
Okay.
And of course, it's left a huge mark on my life.
Yes. Yeah.
At that time, I had 2 babies, 1 newborn.
Okay.
The other one was my son was less than 2 years old.
Okay.
I was diagnosed and then had the operation, and then I was treated. The treatment contains quite a bit of radioactive chemicals.
Was it radiotherapy you had?
No, it's not radiotherapy. It is, I know it's in Turkish, but it's hard to
Just
describe.
say it in Turkish.
So I had the radioactive pills, which will only stick together with the thyroid cells.
Right, okay.
So if there is any cancer thyroid cell left, that would be killed. That's the logic of the treatment. So I became radioactive, of course. So I had to...
Forget about COVID, you were radioactive.
Yeah, I had to isolate.
Yes.
Because I had two babies in the house.
Who would be extremely at risk.
So I stayed in my mom's summer house, myself, like 5 weeks away from my children. So I guess it was the most hardcore isolation I've lived. So I recovered that time just painting. And then it became something essential in my life.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I'm just trying to put what you've said to me, summarize in words, just for myself, because I'm slow at interpreting these sort of things sometimes. But therapy, but it's not just therapy. It's something you, as you say, it is you. And if you're not being you, you'd have had no chance of getting better.
Of course.
It would have hindered it. That's interesting.
We need to understand our purpose in life, and then fulfill that. Otherwise, our body, our soul, they just give different signs to warn us.
Yeah, and the problem is things like you're saying about Eckhart Tolle and some of these other gurus who understand these things, is that as humans, because of fear and lack of confidence, we put these barriers and we resist our journey for other reasons, society reasons, as you say, fulfilling the idea of what a mother means to society. But I feel that myself, that if I'm not, I get confused sometimes, and you sometimes think, is that the right move? Because how would I survive financially or whatever? But putting resistance and barriers is in the way of a train means that train can't get to Waterloo, and there's going to be problems.
Recently, what I learned, and I'm trying to digest that knowledge still, there is no such thing called security in real world.
Interesting. Yeah, and I think we're all learning a bit about that at the moment.
There is nothing we can call secure totally. There is no security, and in the name of security, we compromise so much from our life.
If there's ever a time that we know that things are not secure, is this during this sort of period of the coronavirus. And as an artist as well, no exhibitions. Suddenly you've got exhibitions planned and things. You've adapted. But did that scare you, having to adapt?
Of course it scared me. But the thing is, I learned not to run away when I'm scared. I learned just to acknowledge that I'm scared. Try to do my best, knowing that I'm scared. So if we can accept whatever it is, what the reality of this moment is, and then move forward with our best, well, that's the best we can do anyway.
I'm going to just change things slightly. So talking about reality, and I'm talking about the reality before coronavirus and the lockdowns, what do you miss about Istanbul compared to London? Decent coffee? Well, we've got decent coffee in London now.
Well, no food is just something to miss here. We can find everything in London.
Everything, yes.
Everything.
There's lots of opportunities to eat Turkish food in London,
it is not that. But I miss the feeling. I miss the feeling that I know what to do. I know how to do when something urgent happens.
I see. But you just know that you know.
Yeah.
What other circumstance comes up. Okay.
that confidence. I miss that feeling.
Because have you got family in London?
I have several friends.
Friends, okay.
Who relocated so many years ago. And I have a couple of family members as well.
Okay.
So I wasn't just in the middle of nowhere by myself. I started my new life being able to hold a couple of hands.
Well, that's nice.
That's a privilege, of course.
Yes. Okay. What else do I want to ask you then? I'm just delving into my notes here. What's your next project? What's coming up?
The book, the video of 365 pictures.
Okay.
And video will include other people who joined me posting their drawings using my hashtags as well. And the exhibition, I will create limited edition fine art prints with selected ones. And then, of course, I will keep on painting and drawing.
Of course. Well, yes, you've got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
and that's the way to do it.
And I plan to share this with other people as well, with workshops.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so watch this space for workshops as well. So your children then, obviously are not quite so children now, they're young adults, so they're making their way in the world with studies. Do you think they're staying in London or the UK, or what to look forward 5 years' time? I mean, I know you'll be doing art, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's the future for you and your family.
They will find their own ways. They are very opinionated. How do you say the word? Opinionated.
Opinionated, yeah. Open-minded.
Open-minded. Yeah. They have their own point of view about everything.
Okay.
And that was the intention. Giving them the chance to become their own selves.
Okay.
Without too much pressure. And
And have they thrived in London?
They did. Of course, we all suffered in the beginning.
Language challenge. I mean, I guess they probably must have had some English before, did they?
Yeah, they used to study in a school which was giving quite a bit of English education.
Okay.
They used to study maths and sciences in English as well. And a different type of education way in Turkey.
Okay.
Whoever has the chance, they send their children to those schools with language, different language education. And they used to go to that kind of school, but it's different. They were able to read the books, understand the lessons, but it took some time to have friends and connect with their peers, literally. I remember my son coming back from school and telling me, "Mom, this is a great day today."
Okay.
Oh, okay, great. What
happened?
It's not raining? Yeah, that's another part. He said, "I understood their jokes."
Oh, nice.
And I made a joke and everybody laughed.
Oh,
I said, "Wow." And I turned my back and I said, "Oh my God, what have I done to my children?" Of course, we had that kind of days quite a bit. Adaptation is not an easy thing. Yeah, but we survived.
And I guess they probably are different to you in the sense that you say what you miss about Istanbul or Turkey is that feeling that you know you can deal with unexpected things because you know how things work in much more detail and where to go or how to. But I guess they probably don't have that because they've become adults or becoming adults here, so they know how things work.
Yes, indeed.
So that's their experience is probably is that they've got childhood memories.
Yeah.
But they've also been teenagers here.
Yes. And it's a big difference. It's a big difference. And they are happy. They had the chance to follow their dreams. That's a big thing in life.
Yeah.
Big luxury.
Yeah.
We are so grateful to be able to do that. So, it's going well.
So if people want to find out more about you, your art, your story, can you just share with people how they can find you online with your website
Sure,
and Instagram and
sure.
stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm very online.
Okay.
My website is my name, Esra Kizir Gokcen.com.
Okay.
Maybe
Just don't get me to say that again.
Yeah, okay. I never realized it would be
We'll put it in the show
challenging. Yeah, but that's my brand, my name.
Yes. Okay.
So and on Instagram I have 2 profiles. My main profile is EKG_art_studio.
Okay.
There's another profile designated for 365 drawings.
Yes.
So it is EKG_365 drawings.
Okay.
And yeah, with my name, they can Google me and find.
Brilliant. No, I'd really endorse taking a look at that, because that must have occupied half an hour of my time this morning, just flicking through your pictures and looking at them, and and there's some really nice detail with it about what was inspiring that particular piece on that particular day. Well, I think we'll wrap things up there. That just leaves me to thank you, Esra, and yeah, I'm looking forward to maybe having another quick guided tour of some of your art that's in the studio here.
Sure, I'd love to.
If that's all right. Brilliant. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Big hug to Esra for sharing so much. And if you want to find out more about her art and some of the things we've talked about, please visit the show's website for the episode's show notes at marriottssidetrips.com. That's MARRIOTTS_sidetrips.com. Also, if you'd like to travel better post-lockdown, just sign up to my newsletter through my website and you'll receive a free ebook, Essential Checklist for the Modern Day Traveller. Talking of newsletters, please sign up to Esra's too, where you'll be able to receive further details about her exhibition for her 365 Days Drawing Challenge as soon as she releases them. And since we recorded the episode, the exhibition has progressed and the dates and venue are changing. Her website is esrakizirgokcen.com. Best to check the show notes for a link to Esra's site, as I'm still having problems pronouncing her surname, as you can tell. I'm hoping return for some more of my London side trips, as I've still got some fantastic people to share with you, and the food thing continues to remain strong. To come, there's the landlord of my local pub and we talk real ale and fish and chips, amongst other things, as well as a Peruvian brother and sister street food team. Thanks for listening and see you soon.